Everyone knows that shooting the perfect shot, it is easy. But even before we get there, how do we know or go about exactly deciding whether or not we find someone attractive? On this week's episode of the Infusion Breakdown Show, the Breakdown crew sat down amongst ourselves to discuss these topics and more. Let's see what we came up with.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Infusion Breakdown Show. As always, it's your boy Joshua Freeman. I'm here with Mr. Brian Carey and also Mr. Desmond Tillman. How's everybody been? How's y'all week?
Great, had an opportunity to get outside and get back on my board today.
Oh, you did? Where'd you go?
Just around the neighborhood.
Okay. What about you, Des? You do anything new?
Nah, bro, weeks are still running into each other.
Wait, said it again?
I said, nah, the weeks are still running into each other.
I got you. So today we're going to be talking about the science of attraction. The question, what makes someone attractive? So Brian has a little spinner going. Wants to share the screen.
So we're going to take a spin and see who takes the first crack at it. Josh, close.
I really think it's the way, like, when it comes to like women, the way that women carry themselves. I would say that's one of the main thing. But this really goes for everybody. Like, just the way a person carry themselves. That's can make them attractive. To me, I was like, what is your style? Like, how do you handle conflicts? Like, do you bug out in public? Because I don't know about you guys. A lot of guys that I know don't like women that bug out in public and like, cause a scene and everything like that. To me, if you're gonna bug out in public and like start like some type of scene or something, make it because you're fighting for your equality or something like that, or some instance like that where somebody stripped away your equality and you're trying to fight for that, whether it's for women's equality, or black equality, whatever. But other than that, if another girl step on your shoe or call you a bitch or something like that, do you really need to react to that? Like, so that's what I'm talking about right there. And also, like, what is an important goal you trying to accomplish? That's something that makes you attractive to me too. Like, what is something you're trying to accomplish? As far as when it comes to relationships, I say a sense of humor. Sense of humor, like a woman with a sense of humor is never bad for a relationship unless she thinks she's the only one that's funny in the relationship. So I say really a sense of humor. And also the ability to communicate. Listen, let a woman tell me exactly what she wants to eat. Instant erection. Instant. Let a woman communicate her real feelings to me. You kidding me? When you want a back rub, shit. But yeah, just stuff like that. Like, sense of humor is always good, but ability to communicate, that's a huge thing. But yeah, that's a few attractive things.
40, a lot of guys, is that a lot of guys you know, or is that you too? Because I know if somebody called me a bitch in public, I'm going to be ready to throw them.
You said what?
You know, a lot of guys. I was like, is it a lot of guys people you know, or is it a lot of guys you included? Because I know if somebody called me a bitch in public, I'd be ready to scrap too. So
Really?
I don't
Nah,
think
I'm
that's
not.
it.
I think that's minimal. Like, really, okay. In what instance are you talking about? Just randomly, like they stepped on your shoe and they called you a bitch? Like, like, is there any way where you won't respond in that way? Because at the end of the day, is it really worth it? Like, what's the point? Like, why do you have to get that out? Why can't you just keep doing what you're doing?
I don't think nobody gonna call you a bitch after they step on your shoe. But I mean, I know a lot of times when women are called bitches, it's because of some beef that has spilled over into public. So
it could happen. Like, you at a concert, alcohol involved or something like that. It could happen that way too.
I don't know. I think my thing with that is, like, I think men are just as conscious as a space as women is. Women are probably just a little bit more conscious, and I don't think. I mean, I don't necessarily find myself attracted to those women as well. But I mean, there's validity in how they feel in the same sense. Like,
just for a different cause. I mean, I'm not saying yelling in public is bad. I mean, just do it for a different cause,
You're just saying that
not for a petty argument. Yeah, not for a petty argument.
You're just saying that acting a fool in public should be reserved for special instances.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all.
Not necessarily acting a fool, like just creating like causing a scene, I guess. It doesn't have to be acting a fool, really.
right?
But there are some women that act a fool, so. But yeah.
To me, it seems like when people do things like that and they're causing a scene, they're actively aware of it, so they're doing it for attention, and that just that indicates a bigger problem to me. So I would consider it to be a turn off as well. So yeah, attachment, you touched on a lot of good things like the behavior of a person. And just to expand on that, when people do talk about attraction, I do think that something was overlooked is the layers behind what attraction is. So one big thing that exceeds what's physical is the actual attachment style. So it actually stems in its current version of what we know is from a survey that was first put out in 1985 from the University of Denver. Two professors put together. And so identified 4 different attachment styles that each of us belong to. And they're not meant to be some kind of like rigid box to encapsulate your relationship status or how you behave at all times, as opposed to just identifying traits or behaviors at a particular point in time. And the 4 of them are secure. Then you have the anxious, preoccupied, dismissive, avoidant, and then you have fearful, avoidant. And it's really interesting how like someone who is in one of those categories, like fearful, anxious, preoccupied, they'll attach to somebody who isn't able to meet their needs. And all these 4 groups are is just they're explaining they influence our behavior and how we go about finding needs, and then also how about we go about getting our needs met. So that's something that's really interesting. I think that if more people should have a better understanding of that, about and they'll be more apparent why they're attracted to the people that they are. And then another thing that goes behind the scenes is the big 5 personality traits. So the 5 of them are agreeableness, extroversion, neuroticism, openness, and conscientiousness. And so ideally, you don't want to have somebody who is a complete one-to-one ratio, like you have the exact same traits. You want some kind of complementary balance, but also you don't want too much difference. Because like what you were saying about the restaurants, like that's a common relationship problem. So if you have a person with high agreeableness, then they're constantly like, honey, I don't know, you go ahead and pick, you go ahead and pick. But the other person who might be low in agreeableness, so we call them disagreeable, they'd be like, I don't know, well, I always pick, you need to go ahead and pick something. That's going to be a constant source of tension in the relationship. And I think that with what you were saying about as far as behaviors of maturity and being indicators of that, how they handle disputes, do you go out in public, do you air it out? You the first thing, as soon as we have a disagreement, are you hopping on Twitter to go talk mess, or do you come to me and say, hey, this is the issue, or do you do like Nikita said the guy did with her, and you come back with the list later on? I feel like those are really important things, because earlier on in my life, take a quick break. Earlier on, it would be more so that looks mattered, and they were the utmost importance. Of course, like I still like attractive women, but now they don't just get a pass because of their looks. And I feel like that's something that the older generation really fell prone to, because there was a specific example where I had given my grandmother a prom picture of a girl I went to prom with, and then she had asked me, I think a year later or something, and she said that what happened to her, I thought y'all were meant to be. And I looked at her funny, and I was thinking like, grandma, you've never even met her, you just saw a picture of her and you said that we were meant to be. I said, okay, whatever. But it's I think that's something that comes with maturity. You start to realize that, of course, like you're attracted to what you like physically, but there's stuff behind the scenes that matters just as much, if not more important.
Yeah, beauty is definitely in the eye of the beholder. So, I mean, the most important thing I would definitely say is just find the right person that's on the right wavelength as you. If you think they're attractive as hell, then who cares? It's up to you, man. Because I
Right.
mean, at the end of the day, when they get older, how are they gonna look? I mean, somebody with a fattest ass could look terrible when they about 60. So I mean, then you stuck with her, and and all you did was base the relationship off of looks, and now where you at? So.
I mean, but ideally, so another thing I actually left out was them taking care of themselves. So taking care of themselves doesn't just encapsulate just physically, but taking interest in themselves and getting to know themselves, develop interests outside the relationships. That's something I tend to find that a lot of women struggle with, is separating themselves from the relationship and being an individual. Because like a lot of times, like, if you ask women, I've done this just an experiment. I ask people to describe themselves, like who are you? And so men will describe themselves as what they do, and women will typically describe themselves to other as their relationships pertain to other people. So they say mother, sister, things like that. And it's something that we all struggle with, like finding our identity and building ourselves up like that, and actually knowing our interests and becoming more familiar with ourselves. But that's particularly attractive when somebody already has that going for themselves, and they're a complete entity in their own. They don't need me to complete them. Like they're self-sufficient.
I was actually going with exactly what I was going to say. Mine is, I think the one thing that sticks out for me as far as attractiveness, and this doesn't have to be like necessarily what I'm into, but it's just an attractive trait in itself. And that's someone who is able to be their own person, external of outside factors, where somebody is like unapologetically themselves and does things that they like to do regardless of any criticism that might comes with it. And that could, obviously you want to make sure that the good that you're doing or what it is you like that you're doing is good for yourself. And the reason why I say that is just because that stuff translates to the relationship itself. Are you able to be the person you were on a personal level, as well as being the person within the relationship as well, and not getting the two confused? Because I can't tell you how often it is to where men and women alike will get in a relationship to where they bear the burden of making every decision. And it might not be, you look at the little decisions like dinner and, gift ideas and things of that nature, but like all the major decisions that could be impactful, instead of it being a 50-50, it's a 70-25, to where somebody's presenting everything and then someone's just agreeing. So, it's something that I really find admirable, is like somebody that can make their own decisions and really do what they love to do and not really care about who has what to say about it. Growing up, just like everyone else, like I think we're really into the aesthetic of a person. And so, when you're looking at someone, you're thinking about the face, you're thinking about the hair texture, you're thinking about how proportionate they are, their shoe size. You don't want nobody looking like a letter L. So those are all things that I really took into consideration. And then when I first started dating, was something that I looked for. And then you kind of realize like how important it is for someone to be their own person and be their own person unapologetically. And at the same time, you being your own person unapologetically. So when things hit the fan, you're not trying to like salvage anything. You understand that this didn't work out for X, Y, and Z, and I'm fine with that. Because I think a lot of people think that at our 20s, we need to make a lot of sacrifices, when really the only sacrifice that we should make is the relationship itself. Because you should not be gearing yourself to go somewhere in life when you haven't even fully developed yourself as a person. So anybody that can stand for their own, I have an attractiveness for them as a person. I don't want to sit here and say like, oh, all the independent women, come holler at me. Like, nah, that's not the thing. But I think it's an attractive trait to have for men and women alike, because indecisiveness and the ability to not make sound decisions really can, sour a relationship quickly.
That's something really important. What
That's
you were
the
saying
biggest one
about,
for me now.
you said that single one is being an individual.
Yeah, that's like the biggest one for me. Yeah, be an individual first. The main reason why I say that is because if you're your own self and somebody doesn't like you, it's not your fault. It allows you to weave through the BS a lot quicker.
You can't
a
fix
lot
it.
easier.
Okay. So what do you guys think about the shot thing? Like, does it matter who shoots their shot, as far as like women or men? Should women shoot more shots, or should men learn how to shoot better shots? Like, what do you guys think?
Shooting your shot. To be honest with me, I've had more people shoot their shot than I've shot mine. Like, I'm one of those people that I'm very selective of who I see myself with. Like, I'm really, really OCD in that aspect. Like, well, I'm OCD in like general, but just who I can picture myself with is who I try and like, I try and put the most energy in towards. So I have seen a lot of my women friends, they send me a lot of like their DMs and texts they get from guys, and it's like guys going outside and half-assed attempts, because I think in your 20s everybody's like feeling themselves out. Everybody's still experimenting in a sense. Like, you kind of have a know for who you are, but you're not ready to commit 100%. So it's hard to weave out who's genuinely shooting their shot and then who's shooting their shot just so they can smash. So I think that men in general, as we get older and as we get more mature and we get more fine-tuned, we shoot our shot with women that are of the same caliber, and then sometimes we'll shoot our, like, men will be established, but they'll shoot their shot with, you know, someone based off looks. Like, I think regardless, it's just, you know, a matter of you elevating yourself to where the right men are shooting their shot, and then vice versa, you elevating yourself to the right women are shooting their shot. Because I think a lot of the women that have shot their shot with me, it's been solid attempts, but for me, it's always been, do I feel you or not? Like, whatever you say isn't going to influence me. It's going to be what energy I get from you when we hang out with each other, and do you drain more than you give, or do we balance each other, things like that. Because I think that's things that you can kind of get a sense and a feel of, you know, when you guys are in the early stages of whatever phase you want to call it, whether it's talking, dating, or whatever, or even just casual friendship. Like, you can always get a feel for it. And so I actually think that class is always the way to go, but because it gives like a bit of like spontaneity, like you don't see it coming, but it's just that damn good to where you can't resist it. And I think that's always going to be the breadwinner for men and women alike. Say some other experience to where it's hard for somebody else to top it in the future. Instead of saying the same thing over and over again to 10 different girls.
I agree. I had more girls shoot their shot than I've shot their shot, really, for the main reason, like, I'm picky. Like, the only way I'm gonna shoot my shot at you is if I can picture myself being with you long term and actually, like, marriage, all of that. So, but I do want to ask, what is a better shot for men? You said you had your female friends text you about what men would say to them as far as shooting their shot. Like, what is a better shot for men? Is it DM them differently? Should it?
A better shot for men is just being yourself. Like, you don't need to try and be poetic if you're not a poetic person. You don't need to try and be aggressive if you're not an aggressive person. And I think just being yourself, like just saying something that you yourself could say in person, is something that is going to be beneficial. Like, a lot of you send these good morning beautiful texts, but how many times are you picking up the phone and you're saying good morning beautiful? Like, a lot of what we say in text are not what we would say in person. And then therefore it like creates two different images. It creates that image you kind of get when you're texting, because you're just texting to pass time. Like, it's just for me, it's side conversation. Like, I genuinely do not like texting, because people say it takes, 3 seconds to respond. No, it takes 3 minutes for me to open up the thread itself, and then I got to read everything you said. Like, I'm good. So a lot of it could be is like, with you shooting your shot, know the person you're shooting your shot with first. Like, it might sound stalkerish, but like, you can look at somebody, and I don't know this for me, I'm very observant, but you can like go to somebody's Instagram, watch a story, look at a post, and you can kind of get a feel for what they're interested in. Take notes. You don't got to sit here and come off like, hey, I see you're into this, that, and third. Do you want to do this? But like, spark a conversation. You can literally start off with a hey, or how you doing, things of that nature. Like, start it off with casual conversation, and then shoot your shot. Whereas a lot of shooting your shot today is the eye emojis in the DM or in a text, and then expecting everything to follow from there. Whereas it's like everything's a little bit ambiguous. So I mean, shooting your shot for me would be like, it's like a full package thing. It's not just not just a one thing. Like, it's a bunch of stuff that I would like to do and check off to complete the full package, rather than just a good morning beautiful or whatever, this, that, and the third. Because I mean, at the end of the day, good morning beautiful isn't you shooting a shot, because if you continuously do that throughout the relationship itself, is that you shooting your shot every morning?
But I do agree. So that's why I would say women should shoot their shot more, because I feel when they wait for men to shoot their shot, they really become victims of settling in a way, rather than just going out and getting or finding what they want. So really, like I said, not all men, but there's a lot of men who are just horny dogs, and they took in this skill from good guys, so they don't know how to say beautiful, hey beautiful, because girls, with new tactics, like a slimy guy can get a girl. They're getting smarter. I'm gonna just say that. So I would say that's why I say women should shoot their shot more, because they should never. I feel they should do that, but they should never let a guy know how much they like him. You know what I mean? Like they should never let them know how much they like him, because men have that control factor. Like they feel like, oh, you like me? Okay, I have a bit of control over you because you know you have that weakness per se because you like them. So I feel women should never let them know like how much they like them. But of course, like you said, you should spend some time with them and actually realize and get to know them. Like you can spend a week with somebody and get to know a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? It don't have to be a day. You could just seeing what they do, how they react to people, how they talk about people, how they carry themselves, just certain things like that. And then you'll know, like, okay, do I picture myself with this person? So basically just what you like what you said. Like,
You asked two questions initially. So the first one was, does it matter who shoots their shot? And I don't think so. I can tell you, no, it does not matter who shoots the shot first, because I'm a big believer in serving myself. So the only responsibility I have towards any kind of situation is, if I want something, my job is to make the best attempt at getting that, and then the outcome is non-consequential to that. Like it happened, but I did my part. I did my responsibility. But in terms of shooting shots, I do feel like everyone benefits from an equal playing field. And so what you were saying about women having to really end up settling, if you're just picking from who's taking shots at you, there could be guys you're actually interested in. Now they have no idea you exist. They could be like, of course, like on the next machine at the gym, or you could go to work in the same building and never interact, and you could be interested in that person. But like I said, they don't know you exist. And so that's a shot that you're missing because you didn't take it, because you're waiting to say that, oh well, he should initiate the shot, when in reality that's not even possible for him because he wasn't aware of you. And what you were saying about men shooting better shots, I think that's a funny topic there, because so there's obvious gradients of shot shooting, like just dropping eyes in the DMs and heart emojis and shit. Okay, I would assume that that's weak. That's weak. But there is a base level of courtesy I extend to a girl that's shooting her shot, and I feel like we should all do, because you don't know the amount of courage that it took that person to get to the point where they're actually saying something and speaking up. And I mean, that's admirable to me. That's something that's not typical because most women don't shoot shots. So that's something to take into consideration. And then when it actually comes to shooting your own shot, I think about it like this: do I want someone being overly pedantic and trying to break down and dissect everything of how I shot my shot? Even though I did say there are gradations, but someone who's being like really overly critical. Do I really want that? Because I feel like if you're interested in someone and they make an attempt, they shoot their shot with you, and you're interested, then it'll go in. And I feel like if you have time to be pedantic and analyze everything, then you're obviously not interested. You said, I think we all on the same page when we said like we're pretty selective and don't just take willy-nilly shots. So Josh, do you believe in DMing, or what's your go-to? Are you better in person or DMs?
I've done both. I've DM'd and went in person. Um, I'm trying to think as far as, I guess, like Instagram. I guess, yeah, you DM on Instagram, but
Sure.
in person, I was at my job, not the job I have now, but the last job. This is probably like 2 years ago. And I approached her and I was just like, hey, so and so, do you want to get to know each other more? Do you want to talk? So and so. Ironically, she was light skinned, but so yeah, so that happened. It wasn't successful because she didn't text back, but
She was light skinned.
so I didn't make that. You made that stereotype right there. I didn't make that stereotype, but I've actually forgot about that, to be honest with you. Yeah, he don't hear that much anymore. But anyway, yeah. So that was that. That was really the only time I actually shot my shot in person, I wouldn't say, because after that, I guess when I was younger, I was like not really scared, but I was like, yeah, do I really want to do this? Like, how do I even shoot my shot? Like, what do I say? Like, do I just go up there like, hey, like, you want to get to know each other? I was like, and that was really my first time, I guess, successful time shooting my shot. And then I got her number, but she didn't text back. So, but yeah.
And for them shooting a shot towards you, is it more so a DM or in person?
You said as far as a girl shooting a shot to me?
Yeah.
It's kind of subtle and it kind of passes over time. The last time a woman shot their shot to me, I'm trying to think about a year ago or something like that. She started liking all my pictures on Instagram. And you're like, why is this person liking my pictures on Instagram? And you go like, oh, okay, huh. They like your pictures because I guess they're interested in you. Then you go and like some of their pictures back, and then you see what happened, and then so and so and forth. They ended up saying they like you. So it's really like a subtle thing over time. I don't think I'm trying to think. Probably one experience I had a girl actually really DM me and shoot their shot, and was like, and I was like, oh, okay. I like that. Cool. Cool. But it's a different feel when a woman shoot their shot, because it's like, oh, all right, nice.
Like, so one thing I remember in our friend group, that when we first met and we was hanging out at OD, going to parties and stuff like that, there was a girl there in our friend group, and so there was something that I pointed out back then. So when girls, they don't realize the power that they have when they shoot shots, or the power they have to shoot themselves in the foot, because like they'll see a guy that they're attracted to, and then they'll look down at their phone, or they'll act like they're busy or something like that, as opposed to making it visible that they're open to it. Because I mean, if you just look at that, you're looking at their body language, you listen to their clothes off. And when I said that to the friend that we were hanging out with, she felt like she was being attacked, because it was true. And so there was a little bit of confirmation there. So I mean, we've been game to that for a number of years. But like just little simple things, like even if it's just you in person as a girl, if she were to just be more open to that kind of communication, or just smiling or something like that, we made eye contact. Like something that I used to do was the smile test. Like if I was walking somewhere and I saw a girl and I smiled, if she smiled back, cool, I'll go talk to her. If not, it's either one or two things. She doesn't know how to use her body language properly, or she's not interested. Either one of the two, I'm not interested. So that was a useful tactic to help weed out some duds for me.
Some duds.
Some bricks. I mean, but you never really know. It's all random, because at any given point in time, because you think you can approach someone on today and get a different response than you would tomorrow. It's all about the state that they're in. They could be still stuck on somebody, which is more than likely the case,
They could
because
be
there's
shot.
not.
Yeah, they could be shot too.
Yeah, that too. But I feel like most people are. Well, let me flip it. I feel like there's not really a such thing, or not as many true single people, because there's even people who aren't actually in relationships. They're still mentally stuck with someone. So depending on whether they're over the person or not, that can influence whether your shot goes in or not.
But the other thing too, like when you talk about women shooting their shots, you got to think of men's choices. And women's men's choices not always the best. Like they always look for like the bad boy or something like that. So I think we have to take into account like the women's men's choices, and how not really to have like, not all of them either. Like some have poor decisions as far as just choosing men. So I would say when that, like, back to, can you picture yourself with that person? Like if you have his pants halfway off his ass when you meet him, like, all right, come on, do you really see yourself doing this long term? I mean, listen, there's a lot of bad boys, but that can take care of their girl and everything like that. But every nigga ain't Nipsey Hussle. I'll tell you that right now. Every nigga ain't a bad boy and then could just take care of their girl just like that. So like you really have to. I know you want a bad boy, but at the same time, I've never seen. Because what I've gotten recently is why women choose a bad boy. Like, hey, I want a guy that can protect me. I want a guy that can, if shit goes down, he'll know how to throw hands or do something like that. But at the same time, I've never seen a good guy drop everything, but I can't do this, and just leave because they couldn't do it. You know what I mean? Like good guys are, if anything, good guys will probably not protect you more, but they'll be there too. So I just think women's men's choices should be taken into question too, because I mean, what are you looking for? You have to ask yourself that too.
No, really. And like, if somebody's making poor choices, is that somebody who you really want to make a choice on you?
Yeah.
No. I feel like that's natural selection. You're eliminating yourself. Des, what's your take on that?
I think that goes back to what Des was talking about though, with the person being in their 20s and them not already being established, and they probably don't really know what they're looking for.
To answer the first part, I agree with a lot of how women shoot their shot, but for me, what I remember vividly about ODU is every woman that I came in contact with at ODU shot their shot the same exact way, and they all stare at you up and down, and that's it. Like some of them, they'll make eye contact and they'll go about their day. Thank you. Hey, how you doing? Whatever. But the women that always shot their shot, they stare at you and they look at you up and down. And that's how a lot of women shoot their shot is that eye contact longer than 2
Is
or 3
that
seconds.
is that really shooting a shot though? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
No.
That's
no.
not shooting a
That's
shot. That's just you. That's them attempting to look at you. Like, okay, you shoot your shot now because
Nah, but that's what I'm saying though. Like sometimes women shooting their shot is to do that, to try and trigger you to say something. Like it's a you might not look at it that way, but that's how like a lot of women shoot their shot. They stare at you, they make that eye contact, that confirmation for you to come over and say something rather than, not doing it at all. Like trust me, a lot of house parties, that's how a lot of conversations started with a lot of women where they stare at you. And those like they be solid women. So, I'm not saying that just to like bring a small batch. Like I'm speaking from experience in that aspect where like, I'm not the only one noticing it. All my boys.
How many stairs? How many stairs does it take for you to be?
It's always no. It's funny. It's not like a consecutive thing. It's like usually when you notice it, somebody you with are noticing it as well, and that's when it becomes like, all right, bro.
No, I'm definitely with you because I take about like because I'm trying to think. At Cloud9, I remember somebody that was interested in me and they did the exact same thing, and I'm saying that. The whole look, I wait about a week. If you're still looking at me for the entire week, I'm like, okay, some like you
A week?
like
After a week?
constantly throughout the day for a week. I have to because hey, it could be something else. You never know. So
Dude, after a week, your window is passed.
no. After a week, no.
You don't think?
Your window might not have passed, but the window of opportunity for somebody else opened up.
Right.
I mean, if you're confident in your skills, though, I mean, it doesn't matter what anybody else brings to the table.
Yeah, that goes back to what I was saying. I'm responsible for serving myself. So I don't care about anyone else. But that doesn't stop the fact that there could be outside factors. The situation could have changed in the span of that week. Do I care about that? No. I'll find out.
Makes sense. Anything else you guys want to add? You want to add, Desmond?
It was the second part of the question. It was about women, and I mean the one thing I take about from women,
choices.
yeah, women and their choices. A lot of women who have a sense of dependency ingrained in them look for a bit of like spontaneousness in like a guy. Like they want something that's going to keep them on edge and not get boring. And I think a lot of stuff with the quote unquote bad guy is that like it's always going to be something. There's not going to be a dull moment. Whereas with like you have somebody that's put together and they're focused on themselves, you're kind of succumbing to the fact that that guy is going to take his time and he's going to do what he wants to do and he's going to do it how he wants to do it, but to better himself. Or I mean, it could be to neglect himself at the same time. But for a fact that he's trying to do something to advance himself, and that might be a little bit boring to some people. Whereas you with the bad guy, who got 6, 7, 8, 9 different connects in multiple cities, to where it's always something to do, always a party to go to, always a club to go to. You kind of gonna want that because it's a fast paced life, and I think a fast paced life kind of fits in to where society currently is. And I mean, I think that if anything,
boring.
this is what anything, the quarantine has showed you how like fast paced we live life, because for a lot of us it was like a genuine shock. And then for some people, it's like, yeah, I do this every day. And you kind of can like weave out through the people of how they've been reacting to the quarantine. Because even though I'm introverted, I lived at a fast pace, and it took me a long time to like get used to the new norm that life was offering. And I think, when you kind of factor in what's preferred versus what's like, okay, I can settle with it, I can deal with it. Like everybody, or I'm not gonna say everybody, but a lot of women are gonna choose that spontaneous dude, because it's always something. And if it's always something, it's gonna continuously build off of itself.
So are you saying they secretly like that deep down? Are you saying they secretly want that rush of
That adrenaline
of argument after argument? And
well, it might not be always argument after argument, but I don't think that in the rational mind they're thinking that way, because in their mind it's like, oh, this is the this is the dude that every girl wants. Like, I've won. not realizing that it's just you winning him increases the competition of keeping him. The competition and the hard work it requires to keep him, because you got to think, you're in a competition because you can never have an off day when you put in the work to get with somebody that every girl wants. Because if you have an off day and you're still young and you still realize that I got X, Y, and Z hitting me up trying to get with me, and old girl who put in all this work, it's the same thing. Like think about when men put in all this work to get with a girl and then they fall off. They no longer complimenting her. They no longer doing this, that, and the third. It goes both ways. And I think we kind of just see it displayed differently within each individual person. Like, I mean, some men genuinely just want every girl, and some girls want that dude because it's like, hey, I mean, I got him on the hit list. Like, that's a good name to have. It's going to get me into certain certain circles that hitting somebody that is not well known could get me in. Like,
is that a maturity thing?
I wouldn't say it's I wouldn't say it's a maturity thing, because there are a lot of women who think that way, that are mature in the sense that they now look at what they're doing as a means to an end. Whereas like really early on, women are just doing it for the receptiveness that it gets. Like, and so some women actually think like, okay, like shit, this me living like this gets everything paid for. Like, fuck it, I got to deal with, cheating every now and then or whatever. Like, it's understood for some women as they mature, but it's also like, well, damn, do I want to deal with that, 2 or 3 times a year, or do I want to go deal with, somebody else to where we sometimes having to scrape by and figure out what we gonna cook for dinner, or who gonna pay the mortgage this month, or this, that, and the third. Like, when you switch somebody like that and it has that level of spontaneousness, you have a genuine feel that you're always covered no matter what, because you can't be spontaneous and broke. That'd be a waste of a personality.
You can't. There's nothing you can
do. Like, if you think about it, like a lot of the people, like a lot of rich people, they have a personality with them. They have something that they built up over years that has been a commodity, something that people want to pay for, or people want you a part of. Like, if think about it, our 3 minds together, people are going to pay us because of what we bring to the table. But if somebody's able to bring what we bring to the table, and they're able to bring the personality to bring more money or more whatever to the table, to where customers no longer have just a genuine connection to the company itself, but they have a genuine connection to the person that they're speaking with in the company, it brings in more money. It brings in more opportunity. It brings in, or I'm not gonna say it brings in, but it opens more doors based off of, your ability to just interact. And that's what a lot of women want, is they want somebody that can interact. Not in the sense of like interacting, like being for everybody, but interacting to know everybody if necessary.
Okay.
But it sounds like what you're describing is using a relationship as a means to achieve some kind of gain.
For that particular example of women choosing the bad guy, it's
Gotcha.
always a gain aspect to that.
Because I never really thought of it as them pursuing or being interested in the bad guys, like what you were saying, the spontaneity that comes after it. Like, you can be spontaneous, you don't have to be a bad guy. And I was able to differentiate those like fairly early.
You were. But then think about it like this, and not what it is that you like, because there are a lot of women that I know that are very much into plant-based lives, like not even just talking about like vegan and vegetarian, but they like plants are a part of their life. Like, they will take genuine what's the word I want to use? They take genuine interest to what it is you're doing, because you are not only creating content, but you're taking the journey, a spontaneous journey at that, into the realm of, what do you want to call it? Feel the love. Like, you're actually, right. So there's a bit of spontaneousness with you, but a lot of women aren't looking at that at the same time. They still want that joy, because they like, okay, I could do the plant shit on my own. Like, I can, watch a couple DIY videos. I can build my own stuff. Not every woman is thinking like, I can build my own stuff with somebody else. They're thinking like, okay, it's Friday night. I want to get drunk I want to get loose. Who are the people? Who's gonna put me in the best situation to achieve my my desires at that given time? Because there are women out there. Like, I'm not knocking everybody. There's a lot of women out there that are into the things that we all three are into, but at the same time, it's where they at.
I mean, it's up to you to get in touch with them.
Exactly.
Like, you have to maneuver in those kind of groups and find those people with the common interest. Because I mean, that's important. It's super important. Which I believe on an earlier episode that we did a long time ago. I can't remember this one, but you were saying about integrating yourself and the relationship, like your interest. So like you can't keep it too completely separate, because then it's like you don't know the person. There's a certain amount of detachment, as opposed to someone who at least like they might not always find the most genuine interest in something, or they might not actually feel as passionate about it as you do, but they take a genuine interest and understand why you enjoy it, and they'll take time to entertain it and try to understand it as best they can.
Brian, you was talking about when I mentioned men feeling like they have a power over women when women say that they like them. What you just mentioned, like honesty and transparency. What did you mean by that exactly?
So you were suggesting that women should not let a guy know how much they like them,
Mm-hmm.
but that's by definition by you withholding information that's in that situation. That's not being transparent.
Is it really withholding information? It's really like withholding feelings, not really information. Because I mean, is it really important? I'm trying to think how important is it for the guy to guy to know, like, okay, you like me. I understand he could go and do whatever, but how important really is it? I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't like be like, dismissive and everything like that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you show him you like him a little bit, you have interest, but at the same time, you're not going Google Gaga over him. You're not texting him 3 or 4 times a day talking about, hey, what's up? Hey, boo, what's up? What's up? Hey, what's up? Hey, babe, what's up? You want to be our man crush month? They don't do that, but like something like that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
don't show them you interested, but not you going head over heels, or you already thinking about marriage, because like you already thinking about, oh, this could be us in the future with the kids and everything like that. Don't hint that you're already thinking about that, because some men, like I've seen it, like in high school, like they feel they can now relax, or they feel they can now take time off or take days off of like trying to, I guess, prove or trying to get that girl to like them. Whether you think that's not right or whether you think that's not right is one thing, but they think they can relax of trying to get like showing that appreciation to that girl, like showing how much they like that girl. So that's really what I mean by that. Just not off the bat, showing me interested, but not too much, you know.
Got you.
You could say something.
My thoughts on that were, I was thinking that if you like someone, you should act like it. That was the simple gist of what I was getting at.
Yeah, but not too
But
much.
I do see what you were saying. Like at that point, you're doing too much, and that's
Yeah,
like what you were saying. Like texting constantly, like you're being clingy. That's gonna ruin it anyway.
Yeah, you don't want to come off as clingy right off the bat, because the person is not going to be interested.
Period.
Yeah, you don't want to do that at all. But yeah, anything else you wanted to add, Des?
No, I think we solid on it. There's nothing more I really got to say.
Okay.
Take care of yourself. Be careful who you shooting your shot with, man.
Do you agree with that though? Do you agree men feel kind of have some type of power over them when women shoot their shot, or when women express that they like them?
I feel like
Right off the
anybody
bat?
has the ability to exert that kind of power. I don't
Yeah,
think it's exclusive
I
to
would say
men.
that. Yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
I don't think
Because
I don't think it's exclusive to men. I just think men are known to be more manipulative than women.
Yeah, that's what it is.
you
And
think,
that no, women are manipulative as well,
Now, I
but
think no,
men are just
in the past.
yeah, like
Yeah.
when we talk about like men in control, manipulation is a form of control.
Yeah.
And I think that's how a lot of men, like, not to just try and say like, oh, I control you, like, oh, give me a sandwich or something. Like, no, it's like the manipulation of, me not responding to your text for 8 to 9 hours and then hitting you up knowing that you have been interested the time and this whole entire time, like that's a form of manipulation, because you know this person is wanting conversation with you. You're choosing not to respond until you're, and I mean, I do it, but I don't do it in the form of manipulation. I do it just because I don't want to talk. Whereas some men will wait that time because, you know, it's kind of like you know, you're starving the tiger. You want to build up as much, you know, animosity as you can, not bad animosity, but you want to build up as much as you want to, and then get the woman to the point where she's like, all right, like I'm ready to prove, like she's willing to prove something that's really not worth proving, and then you capitalize on that, like almost to the point of fiending, like, you know, you get it to the point where she's fiending, and then it's a wrap. Like that's like the control and the manipulation aspect I think Brian was talking about when it comes to control.
Yeah, I got you.
But I've seen it. Like I've had like a lot of women when they post screenshots to like Instagram or whatever, and they black out the black out who sent the text. Like I respond to it and I just be dying laughing, because a lot of men will go out sad trying to play that game and then end up on the wrong side of it. Like it's like a lot of men are like, will try and, you know, be manipulative through that aspect, and it sometimes it works, sometimes it don't, depending on what channel you're playing.
All right, so we're gonna wrap up the discussion. You have the album of the week for us?
Yeah, my album of the week is gonna be one of my well, no, I actually didn't. This was not one of my top 5, but I think we did talk about it. Album I've been playing a lot while I've been cooking at night is 808 and Heartbreak. 808s and Heartbreak by Kanye West. It's like 2 straight. No, it's not back to back, but the week before last it was Ye. This week it's 808 and Heartbreak. So we're gonna start May off on some good music. No pun intended.
Yeah, it was. Don't worry, it was. But if you guys liked the discussion, though, don't forget to hit the like button. We're gonna see you guys next week. Peace.